Okay, and welcome back. uh, Demonstrating the the beauty of and unpredictability of life. Of course, just as I start to do a video, I get a call from one of my clients, so I had to take that. So if that's Erica, hi, you back. Okay, so let's look at some of the fundamentals of meditation. Hello again. Yes. Now, I'm sure that for some of you, this will be just strictly a review, and perhaps things you already know, things that you're not struggling with. But let's begin with the basics. And hi Tia. For me, for the first 40 years of my life, I was, excuse me, convinced that I could not meditate. I'd never done it before. I had tried it a few times, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I was convinced that I couldn't meditate. And so I kept telling myself, I kept telling others, I can't meditate. I don't know. Hey, Di, good to have you with us. I would tell people I just can't do that. My mind's too busy. It's too I can't slow it down. And so for me, on my pathway towards being able to go deep into meditation, for me, step one was stop telling myself that I couldn't. If we keep reinforcing our limitations become stronger. Imagine you're going bowling, and you put on your rental shoes, which are totally styling. You find some ball that somewhat works for you. You step up to the line and you say to yourself, gutter ball, gutter ball, gutter ball, gutter ball, gutter ball. Anyone doubt that there's like about an 80% chance that ball is going to go into the gutter? Of course. Now, if you, that same scenario, if you went up to the line and said to yourself, ease, just allow the ball to flow down the middle of the floor. I see the ball going down the middle of the lane to the pins. We're going to have a much better, not only a much better score, but a much more enjoyable time doing it, bowling. So if you have in the past struggled with being able to meditate, I invite you to stop reminding yourself of that. And just, we get back to the power of words. And if I say I can't, it's very difficult for my body to do what my mind is saying I can't do. So that's step one. Step two is take it with ease. Take it softly, gently. Allow yourself to just quietly focus and allow yourself to just focus on your breathing. Again, paramount. If a friend of yours came to you and said, I realized that ever since I graduated from high school, college, graduate school, law school, whatever. But for the last several years, I've lived a very sedentary life. I get up in the morning, I go to work, I come home, and I either continue to work at home or I read or what have you. But now I've made up my mind I'm going to get in shape. So starting tomorrow, I'm going to run a marathon every day. 36 miles and change every day. That'll get me into shape. No, it's not. Because the first day you're going to get out a couple of blocks and collapse and feel failure and give up and just say, I can't run. I can't do it. I'm stuck on being sedentary the rest of my life. No. If you were talking to your friend, you would say, okay, let's kind of break that down a little bit. How about if you're really out of shape, how about if you walk to the end of your street and back? If you feel like you can do a little bit more, walk around your block. If you live in the city, walk around your block. And then slowly, so let's say you walk around your block for a week, every day for a week. And then it's like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm actively working my Get in Shape program. So the next week you do 2 blocks. Then you do 4 blocks. And then you do a quarter of a mile, and then a half a mile, and then a mile. This happened to me a few years ago, and I was so out of shape that I could barely walk around the block. But I kept at it, and I kept at it, and eventually I was walking 12, 13, 15 miles a day, power walking. But I would have never been able to do that if the first day I said, okay, my measurement of success is to be able to power walk 12 miles. It wouldn't have happened. So like with walking, meditation, I hear clients tell me all the time, well, I tried meditation. I decided I was going to meditate for an hour a day. And I just couldn't do it. My mind is just too busy. And I say to them, okay, starting tonight, meditate for 2 minutes. Spend 2 minutes just focusing on your breathing or looking at a candle, the fire in a candle, or looking at the sunset, looking at the stars for just a few minutes, and then slowly increase that. I've told this story a few times, but a really good friend of mine, Bob, he's a retired school teacher, and he's one of the guys that I walk with. He told me, he said, I'm 68 years old and I've never been able to meditate, and I'll never be able to meditate. I just can't do it. And I said to him, Bob, I've seen you on campouts, and I've seen you sit in front of a campfire and just sit there and look at the fire for many, 15, 20, 30 minutes without saying a word to anyone, hardly without blinking, and he says, yeah, I really like that. I find a lot of comfort in that. And I said, Bob, that's meditation. And he went, wow, I really can. So it's not a matter of if you can or can't. It's just a matter of, number one, finding a way that works for you. And number two, starting out in small increments of time. Now, one of the things that works for a lot of people is guided visualizations. And okay, Kathleen, great question. And this is true for all of us. When we start to meditate, our mind wants to wander and move. And again, this is what I used to do for, up until I was in my late 30s. And I'd sit there and I'd say, okay, Brad, you're going to meditate. And I would do my version of the lotus, sitting in the lotus position, which looked more like the Buddha having a pretzel moment or something. And I'd like, okay, shh, be still. I need to call such and such. Okay, I'll do that. Shh, be still. Be still. Did you send off the mortgage? Shh, shh, shh. I'll think about that later. Shh, shh, shh. Be still.